This article here, it says that Gen Z is ahead of millennials and their parents in owning their home. Not only are the women dusting men in home ownership, the younger generation is dusting the older generation. And I want to talk about why some of the things that we might be able to do about it to make sure that, millennials are able to secure home ownership too. Who are we talking about exactly? So I want to make sure everybody knows where they are in terms of their age. So a Gen X person would be somebody who's our parents if you're a millennial. So someone born between the years of 1965 and 1980. You are a Gen X person. Gen Y, later rebranded as being a millennial, and that means you were born between the years of 1981 and 1996. And then if you are Gen Z, that is the years of 1997 through 2013. Gen Z is dusting us, as I said. It says here, Gen Z is ahead of their parents' generation. Millennials are still tracking behind the 62% of 40-year-old millennials that own a home in 2022 compared to the 69% of home ownership that baby boomers had at that age. We know that the average age of a first-time home buyer is 33 years old. So there you are, millennials, right? We also know, looking back at the historical data, there was a semi-baby boom of sorts. So that is another indicator that lets us know that we are still going to be in a seller's market. It's not going to flip to a buyer's market. We don't have the houses, and there are a lot of people coming of age that are going to hit the market. But this newfound information, as far as understanding like Gen Z is buying houses before they were expected to, that is going to impact the housing market as well. Let's talk about some of the factors that could be impacting these age groups. Before I was born, Ronald Reagan was president. So you had Reaganomics that, had this top-down, trickle-down approach. We had the crack epidemic that impacted the culture, particularly African American community was impacted disproportionately. Those people own homes, and they were born again between 1965 and 1980. This is post-integration. This is when we have fair housing laws that are in place. You have the ability to go and vote for who represents you in Congress and in your local areas. There are lots and lots of opportunities because people are coming fresh off the heels of civil rights and wanting the opportunity to own homes and purchase homes. And what we have found is that people in the Black community, particularly, purchase homes at a significantly higher rate than we do now. 40 years have gone by, and we have the lowest housing purchase rate in our community since integration started. It is something that matters when we're talking about the context of what is causing us to not purchase homes at the same rate that Gen Zers are. So millennials were born 1981 to 1996. The student loan epidemic. There was legislation that was introduced where you are no longer able to have your student loans dismissed in bankruptcies. You go owe them loans till you die. You have a culture of, the only way that you can get ahead in society, get ahead in life is to go to college, go to a 4-year college, get your student loan debt so you can get a good job, get the good job so you can pay back your student loan debt, and the vicious cycle continues. That is something that is impacting us. Once we graduated, I graduated in 2001, there was a recession. I remember being in college and they told us it would take us at least 6 months to be able to find a job. 6 to 9 months to find a job. The economy was slow. We found a job. I thought my first job, I was going to be making $1 million. I think I got a job making $30,000 a year. We also dealt with some economic and housing trauma when the bubble burst and the housing collapse started. So if you were in the era of 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, you may have seen, experienced, and heard you didn't need no money to buy a house. You may have seen and experienced and heard that they were going to, allow you to get homes because you were a first-time home buyer. You didn't need to put any money down. You had your closing costs paid for. You didn't need to show proof of income. All types of things that were triggered by the Clinton administration to increase home ownership, particularly in the Black community. Well, I don't know if you heard, but it didn't work out so well. Okay. It backfired. And so the bubble burst, the housing market collapsed in 2008. Lots of people were laid off. Fast forward to 2012, 13, 14, 15, things went all the way down and they started to come back up. And now this is our first decade of being real adults. Okay, we've been able to vote a couple of times. We've been in jobs. We've probably been laid off. So at this point, millennials, we are full-blown adults. Okay, got the student loans to prove it, all of that. Got the debt to prove it, everything. We in there. Well, what happened? Unlike our parents' generation, where you were taught to get one job, stay at the job for 40 years, save your money up for a down payment, go to the bank with your suit on, sit down and convince them that you needed that $65,000 to buy your dream home, it was totally different. We have been scarred with the idea of, oh my gosh, I can't afford this mortgage. I'm going to rent. Oh my gosh, I'm probably not going to keep this job. I'm going to have 6, 7, 8 jobs. I might not live in Charlotte but a year or two, and I'm going to move. Oh my gosh, I am. I should be able to get a home loan without any money down. All these things, and like I said, the trauma of seeing your family and friends be evicted and foreclosed upon because of bad policy. All of these things have caused millennials to be very, very hesitant when it comes to owning a home. Reginae Carter, who is the daughter of rapper Lil Wayne. I highlighted Angela Simmons, who is the daughter of one of the rappers from Run DMC. And I highlighted Zanique, who is Tiny from Escape's daughter. Zanique purchased her home when she was 22 years old. Reginae purchased her home when she was 20. And last year, Angela Simmons, the eldest of the three, purchased her first home at the tender age of 35 years old. So if you think about what I said earlier, it goes right back to that time frame that I just said is the first time home buyer's age. But contrast that with Tiny's daughter and Lil Wayne's daughter, and you see it's quite a gap that's there. They have completely different attitudes and outlooks on life because they are part of this EYL, earn your leisure, this hustle culture. They have access to information that we did not have access to because Facebook did not come out until I think I was a senior in college. So they have access to information that we didn't have access to. They're not going to just one job. They are earning adult incomes in college because they are social media influencers. And when I say they, I'm referring to the entire generation, not just the three ladies that I just spoke about. So they have a lot going for themselves. They had the benefit of the first Black president, Barack Obama. They had the benefit of the millennial generation realizing they were completely being crushed by student loan debt. Which, side note, I know I mentioned that we couldn't get our debts dismissed in bankruptcy, but guess who did? Gen X. They were able to get their debts dismissed. These doctors and lawyers running around that had accrued all of the student loans, wiped clean. Let me file bankruptcy real quick. So there's some disadvantages or advantages on both sides of the millennial generation as it pertains to home buying. Are we victims? Do you think that millennials are victims of situations that were outside of our control? Because this article here, it says millennials have been financially unlucky. Parents had a straightforward financial journey. They did. You got one job, you got one degree, you stuck to it, you lived your life. Now, these younger people are getting jobs, that they're creating jobs, they're working for themselves. They're doing a lot of things that we did not have access to. Are they not all celebrity children? Social lives make moments. They're just examples of a culture, because if you look at some of the celebrities that were celebrities when we came up, they didn't buy houses when they were 21 and 22 years old. It wasn't the norm. It's not something that we did. And as I sit here as a regular person and I take loan applications throughout the year, these loan applicants, the ages are skewing significantly lower. They're female, they're single, and they're young.